Ah yes, talking about running back once more. What's up guys, today I wanted to make another video on how to solve running backs issues in Ultimate Football because my previous video is a tad bit outdated. So today I wanted to add more information and give an even better solution to how running back can be perfectly implemented into UF. Okay, I don't know if I would say perfectly, but you know what I mean. Alright, so let's start with why nobody plays running back. It's trash. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you... Okay, I'm just joking. In all seriousness, the main reason why nobody uses it is mostly because the quarterback can do everything running back can, but better. Think about it. The quarterback will always have a major advantage over a running back solely because it is far less telegraphed compared to a running back. The second you see the quarterback hand off to a running back, it is a clear indicator that it is going to be a running play. And again, you see this at the start of the play. Compared to running it as the quarterback, it is far harder to tell since he can just put the defense in a situation where they have to guess if he is going to run or pass the football. The defense will have to do this for the entire play until either the ball is thrown or if he passes the line of scrimmage. Sure, there are scenarios where it can be obvious what the quarterback is going to do between the two choices, but that will not always appear. The other reason is because it is simply boring and bland in its current state. Outside of maybe the handoff feature, it really doesn't stand out all that much from the rest of the positions. Quarterback specializes in throwing, wide receiver specializes in catching, and offensive line specializes in blocking. But the one thing running back specializes in, it's just overshadowed by the quarterback single-handedly. And look, I know quarterbacks can run well, but unless your name is maybe Lamar Jackson, quarterbacks only run as a last resort, or if they need to get a first down or a touchdown. This isn't even to mention that passing is naturally easier to do and is far more rewarding than running back. Obviously, this has always been a thing, but even running backs are still used in real-life football and still have a place in the game. Yes, I know this is Roblox football and not real life, but it doesn't mean they cannot or should not have similarities. Especially when Voldex's own website states about how it's a deep and immersive American football experience. Yeah, because the quarterback backing up 50 yards back and tossing it from end zone to end zone is surely what they meant by deep and immersive, right? There's also another problem where it is only theoretically fun for the running back as well, since they will be the only ones to have the ball on a handoff. It sort of folds into why it shouldn't be good or useful, but I will explain why that argument doesn't hold up later. Alright, before I go into the solutions, I apparently found some arguments against it, which I found to be very interesting to say the least. So the first argument I've been hearing a ton is that nobody uses running backs because they are bad, but they should not be good or useful because nobody uses them. Wait, I thought you said nobody uses them because they were bad, but if they were good, nobody would still use them? Yeah, this one is straight up contradictory, and ironically, I did not even make that argument up. People have actually said this as to why it should not be relevant. If you said this in any other gaming community, you would be clowned in a heartbeat, I will promise you that. As for why it is so contradictory, I can easily prove this by looking into one of the most recent reworks of one of my favorite games, League of Legends. Yes, I'm lonely and depressed, how did you know? What League of Legends did was rework one of the least used and worst looking champions into easily top 10 pick rate status. They did not only change his gameplay either, they also changed his freaking model. Talk about the glow up of the century. Wow, it's almost like if you improve the gameplay of something, it becomes used by more people on a consistent basis. It went from a complete joke of a character that was laughed at by many to an actually respected character, and there's a reason why. Because it is a legitimate threat.
See? Now you respect me, because I'm a threat.
If you make people respect something that is a threat, they are not going to laugh at it and call it a troll pick. If they did, they are going to regret it immensely. A similar argument I see as well involves people saying, if you want to run the football so badly, just play quarterback instead. I feel like that is a bit of a lazy argument though, since at one point Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite had the same issue. Capcom producers Pete Rosa and Michael Evans answered the question as to why iconic OG characters from the Marvel vs. Capcom franchise were being cut from their most recent game, most specifically the X-Men characters such as Wolverine and Magneto. This was their explanation as to why they did not include these fan favorite characters, and I quote, "If you were to actually think about it, these characters are just functions. They're just doing things. Magneto, case in point, is a fan favorite character because he has an 8-way dash and he's really fast, right? So our more technical players, all they want to do is triangle jump and that kind of stuff. Well, guess what? Nova can do the same thing. Captain Marvel can do the same thing. Ultron can do the same thing.
It's just the function that people are associating with the character, and there's no shortage of that. Oh yeah, of course. People only wanted Ridley in Smash because he would have a third jump. People only wanted Gore Magala back in Monster Hunter World because of his incredibly unique fireball attack. People only wanted Alien in Mortal Kombat because they knew he'd be a busted piece of shit. Players want Magneto in the game because they want to play as Magneto, a character they've grown up with, whether it be from comics, movies, TV shows, whatever way you squeeze it. They become attached to his stories, his struggles, his personality, his design, his abilities. It's why guest characters in games are so special and so hyped up, because people are attached to those characters.
Before you go in and comment, yes, I am aware that football positions may not be on the same level of lore and personality as Wolverine, but people still connect with these positions on a personal level. They may enjoy the design of that position as a whole. Maybe it's a position they idolize. Maybe it's a position they grew up with playing in real life football. For me, I did not want to play running back in UF so I could use the handoff feature. I wanted to play running back because I wanted to play running back. Players who play quarterback don't want to play quarterback because they can back up 50 yards and throw a deep bomb down the middle. They want to play quarterback because they want to play quarterback. This is especially true with running back when it is one of the most iconic positions in all of American football. I did not even mention the many Hall of Famers who are running backs, such as Barry Sanders, Bo Jackson, Walter Payton, and even future Hall of Famers like Marshawn Lynch. As I'm making this video, and with the direction UF is taking the game, the players do not really feel like they're actually a part of the game, but rather mindless husks to house the hundreds of items and cosmetics they crank out monthly. Hey look, another argument. And I quote, "Because you suck at the game and cannot guard in Publix doesn't mean a position needs to be added to make it easier for you. Truck exists, so does the running back pads. Make something happen." Okay, so take me out of the equation real quick. If running back was secretly so good, then surely other people in main leagues have made it relevant, right?
No.
I guess that means every other player in AFL must also suck at the game, including yourself, right? If it has been 6 to 7 years from FBU to now, and players still cannot make running back useful, I don't think it's a player issue at this point. This is even with running back pads and truck. Heck, I think the running back pads nerf it in my opinion, but not in the way you might think. It is more so because it throws off the timing significantly to even use it. If it is true that running back gets a speed boost off of using the pads, the quarterback will have to time it frame perfectly to even accomplish the handoff while taking full advantage of the speed boost. If you want to make it easier to hand off the ball, you could put the running back pad further away from the quarterback, but if you do that, you won't be able to take advantage of the speed boost at its fullest, if any at all. So it seems like what you would think would be a buff just turns out to be a nerf or a buff so tiny it might as well not even be in the game. Oh, why fix something that isn't broken, you might ask? Oh yeah, why don't you ask about the hundreds of thousands of cosmetics in the game? Especially the ones you won't even care to notice unless you look under a magnifying glass. They don't really affect gameplay, so why even work on those in the first place? Why give quarterback a throwing arc made for console players when no console player even requested one in the first place? Why give wide receiver pads that provide a speed boost when they are quite literally the most dominant and over-centralized position in the entire game? And I'm not talking about just for UF, I'm talking FBU as well. And don't you dare say wide receivers needed it, because no wide receiver even requested those. See where that argument falls apart? And Robloxian Bo, I'm going to say this as respectfully as possible. If you are considered one of the biggest content creators Ultimate Football has to offer, please do some research on how game balance works before trying to argue with me. I put more time into discussing game balance from other games with other people than you have making all of your YouTube videos and streams combined. Don't act like you know more than me because you think you are some big shot. Capiche? And now for the argument you have all been waiting for. Okay, not really, I just wanted to make an introduction. Either way, and I quote, "Having a running back isn't enjoyable for anybody besides the running back." As much as I want to say this is true, it isn't really unique to running back, since there's also another strategy that has the same problem running back does here, and that problem is friend passing. Friend passing, for all of you UF Zoomers out there, it is basically where the quarterback throws it to only one wide receiver for what is pretty much the entire game. If you think it's boring for the other teammates involved when experiencing something like this, that is because it is. Of course, this would not be such a massive deal if you guys were not so on and off about if it's good for the game or not. I wish I could say these are the only two comments, but they're not. So I guess according to them, it's only okay when the quarterback and wide receivers do it the entire game, but when running back gets the ball a couple times a drive, that is somehow a crime against humanity. I cannot tell if this is discriminatory, hypocrisy, or both. In Diamond Q, if you were gonna say I talk about all the problems with UF for attention and that I don't actually care about the game, just know that if I didn't care, I would not be making any of these videos, nor having these discussions. And I've been as civil as I could be to those who are respectful back. You, on the other hand, have only attempted to instigate with me and act like an egotistical narcissist in the UF chat log. Despite all that, if you want to say I'm the one doing this for attention, just know your contributions to making UF a better game have been about as useful as a fart in a wind tunnel. Alright, now that the arguments are done, now it is time for the solution. While there was some accuracy in thinking a dash could be suitable as a buff for running back, I don't think it is my favorite solution for running back anymore. The main problem with a simple buff like a dash is that I think the position should be harder to play, which thus will make it more unique. My philosophy back then was to give running back a buff while putting as little time and resources into it as possible. While I have accomplished that, it will probably lead to massive complaints by public players if they ever have trouble facing against it. And a simple buff won't guarantee running back will be a big enough threat to hold its own, especially in leagues like AFL. Not to mention, for running back's case, I believe running back could have better usage in publics if it is a competitive staple in leagues. This is not really tough to do considering Gridiron Football 2 did it perfectly fine while keeping passing the popular position. And before you ask, nobody is laughing at running back in Gridiron Football 2 because it is a legitimate threat in games, which is what I proved from earlier. Back to the topic of making it more useful in leagues, you would have a better chance of making it work if it was a more difficult and complex position. The main problem with this is that, for one, this would end up taking more time and resources to do, but considering they have Voldex working with them, I doubt that will be much of a problem now. And also the fact that it falls away from UF's vanilla and simple gameplay depending on how it is changed. Though in my opinion, I do believe the devs of Ultimate Football can get away with making running backs more difficult and complex. Think about it. The position naturally won't be as common in leagues anyway because at most one person will end up being their running back most of the time, meaning it will not be a very common position compared to wide receiver, who is by far one of the easiest and most accessible positions in the entire game. Of course, in public games, the little Timmies who want to play running back may not be able to play it very effectively because of how hard the position is, which thus will be far easier to punish if they mess up, especially in casual games. However, in league games, players will start to figure out more and more on how to use it, how to make it work, what is the most effective strategies with it, etc. On the flip side, the defense will also have to adapt over time to figure out how to better counter it, since triple safety might not be as effective to countering it, which can thus open up passing to be less restrictive. If the casual players look at the league players using running back as well, public players will end up going, "Wow, that's so cool, I want to do that," and then be more encouraged to try mastering the position. Obviously, they may not run it as well as league players, but they don't need to. This doesn't even include league players who could also realize that running back will be a legitimate threat, which could encourage them to add running back to their scheme. As for the rework on how to make it more complex, you could make it mechanically difficult, but for me, I think it should be difficult on a more strategic approach. The specific rework I want running back to have is heavily inspired by Hue from League of Legends. I do not want to make this video too long, so I'm just going to put images on the screen with more details into what I am talking about. If you have more questions about it, you can leave a question in the comments section below, or even better, provide your own solution. Obviously, this is just my opinion, and my solution may not be 100% foolproof, and may or may not be overpowered or underpowered. This is not really my job to create solutions for running back anyway, since I'm not really a dev or all that much a part of it. Though the fact that I can come up with more creative ideas for running back than UF has ever attempted to do, it kind of shows just how much I feel like they hate the position. And there we go, that should be everything as to why nobody plays running back, along with how little the UF community knows about game balance, and even provided a solution just for the heck of it. Either way, let me know in the comments below what you think about all of this, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.